Now, in Kenya, young people have been taking to the streets again this week. Many have vowed to continue until President William Ruto resigns. They are angry about the government's response to last week's protests. According to the Kenya Human Rights Commission, 39 demonstrators were killed and more than 360 injured. In a recent interview, President Ruto defended the work of the police and said they did nothing wrong. And that seems to have made protesters even more determined, as Mariel Müller now reports from Nairobi.
It started off as an exciting day for David Mwangi. He arrived early at last week's protest, armed only with a water bottle and a face mask. The mood was cheerful, he says.
I was taking selfies with the police and chanting peace, but then the mood changed. The person next to me was shot. People started shouting, "Get to the ground." I started running. Then I heard a bang and I was hit.
The bullet went right through his leg. Now in hospital, he's waiting for a second operation. David Mwangi counts himself lucky. The protester next to him was shot in the head and later died. He doesn't regret taking part in the protest. He says he's fed up with the government because of its corruption and nepotism.
Kenya has a lot of problems. Our education system is broken. It's not what you know, but who you know. Look at me. I graduated from university, and now I've been reduced to driving taxis, and the police still harasses me.
He graduated with a geography degree 3 years ago, but hasn't been able to find a job. It's a fate shared by many. 67% of Kenya's young people are unemployed. He did temporary work until his mother took out a loan to buy him a motorbike, so he could work as a motor taxi driver.
We just have to survive in this life. Even if you follow the rules, you still suffer.
19-year-old Ibrahim Kamau attended the same demo as David, but he never returned home. His mother says he was about to start college and was known for standing up for the less privileged.
He loved to fight for people's rights. He couldn't stand seeing people being oppressed.
Ibrahim Kamau's family wanted to hold a remembrance ceremony for him and other killed protesters, but were forced to change the location. Police cordoned off the area early in the morning, fearing protests. Outside the hospital, this group of young people are also at risk of being dispersed by the police. They've spontaneously mobilized a crowd via social media in support of the injured protesters.
We are here to donate blood to help some of our fellow youth who are injured, and we heard there is no enough blood, so we have come to help.
The protest has changed, from being about the cost of living crisis and against a tax bill to demanding justice and accountability for those killed during last week's deadly demonstrations. And the protesters want President William Ruto to resign.
We are not fearing. If even 1,000 of us die, there will be more to come. And we must remove that guy from that office.
Inside the hospital, David Mwangi is concerned about how he'll support his family if he can't work. But like the protesters, he remains determined.
You know, to ride a motorbike, you need your legs. I'll just have to deal with it. I will get better. I will get better.
I asked DW's correspondent Felix Moringa why we are still seeing demonstrations continue despite the withdrawal of the controversial tax hike bill.
So the demonstrations have continued because people feel that they need to see much more than just the dropping of the controversial finance bill that had brought people initially to the streets. So this week, people have been talking about the president needing to do reforms in his government. People have also been talking about the president actually vacating office. Yesterday, during a discussion in Kenya's Senate Assembly, some of the senators were actually saying the government needs an overhaul and they need a fresh start. So most of what people have been pushing for this week is that fresh start. They feel everything that has been happening in the government, corruption, mismanagement of public funds, and some runaway cases need to be dealt with head-on, and they feel that they do not have confidence with this government to deal with the issues that they are raising at the moment.
Now, short of the fresh start that they're demanding, have we seen Ruto's government take any other measures to try to address these concerns?
So when President Ruto talked to people last week, he said that his government will be taking on some austerity measures. Now, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission in the country had gazetted new salaries for members of parliament, members of the cabinet, and members of the executive. And yesterday, as a result of public pressure, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission actually had to degazette the earlier gazette notice and say that they will not be adding salaries to the public officers as yet. The judiciary was supposed to employ 11 Court of Appeal judges, but they said they have to wait until the country's economics are in the right place for them to be able to employ the new judges. So a few government organizations and government-led institutions are taking the lead, but people feel there's need to see so much more than just the rhetorics, than just the gazette notices. They need to see people who've been mismanaging public funds fired, and that, I think, will be the litmus test for William Ruto on whether he's serious with the austerity measures or it was just another day where he talks to the public and he thinks that the public will forget, and next time he says something different.
Well, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed there. That is DW's correspondent, Felix Moringa.